Hey everybody, are you facing slowing sales in your Etsy print-on-demand shop? I'm actually facing the same thing right now with my Etsy print-on-demand shop. My 2022 has not gotten off to the same start as my 2021 did in the first quarter and start of the second quarter. In this video, I'm going to take a look at how you can compare your results year over year, as well as 5 things that you can focus on to help turn that trend around and increase your sales. All right, let me start by saying this is not one of those videos where I tell you 5 things to do that are kind of high level and fluffy sounding and try to make you think that you can make thousands of sales just by doing a few simple things. Running a business is not as simple as doing 5 things and making thousands of sales or hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. As you can see, we're looking at my real Etsy shop stats page. My shop has been open since August of 2020. I have over $117,000 in total revenue. So it took me a year and a half, and a lot of sales happened for me in the fourth quarter of last year. I had a couple of really good selling products in fourth quarter last year for the holiday season. I had a spike, as you can see, in my first year in the fourth quarter as well, but I didn't have nearly the volume of products published to my store at that point in time yet. So the spike wasn't quite as big as it was last year in fourth quarter. I thought this would be a great time to make a video about things you can do, things you can work on when your sales are slowing down. Because if you look at my beginning of 2022, which is to the far right here on this, this is order volume by month. So on the far right, you can see that my order volume has been trending down since the end of 2021. And there's a few reasons for that. First of all, I haven't spent nearly as much time as I should have in the first quarter of 2022 working on my listings and creating new listings for my Etsy shop. So unofficial number 0 on the list here, because this isn't one of the 5 I'm going to share, is take a step back and assess how much time you're putting in to your Etsy shop. For me, when I take a step back, it doesn't take me very long to realize that, I haven't spent as much time this year on my Etsy shop as I did in 2021 during the same months. And that's a big part of why my sales have been decreasing. But let me just point out a couple quick things here before we get into the list of things you can start working on. So one of the things I like to do is take advantage of the comparison feature that the Etsy stats page has. So if I change this from all time, I'm going to now just look at this year. And when you look at a smaller period of time, one of these little sentences will appear here on your chart. So let me switch back to orders. Here we go. So order volume in this year period, meaning January to May. So it's going to compare January to May of this year to January to May of last year. And it gives you a comparison here. So it's telling me that orders decreased 34% compared to the same period last year. And you could go further than that and use the custom option up here and look at individual months or any period of time that you want, and it will compare it to the prior year for you and tell you whether you are up or down. But all right, enough of that. Let's get into the list of things that I will be doing myself to try and get my sales volume turned around in the other direction and start increasing. All right, we're going to switch over to the POD Insights Etsy shop account here so I don't have to blur out everything, make it a little bit easier for you to see. We're going to use a listing here that I have as an example that I created for a review of a tie-dye t-shirt that I'm going to be doing very soon of some tie-dyed Printify products. Thought that'd be a pretty cool review to do. So we're going to use that listing as an example. But the first thing that you can do, that you can take a look at considering whether you need to make any changes, is your sale and your pricing strategy. So when I say sale, I don't mean sales volume, I mean running a sale or putting items on sale. And there are 2 kind of main strategies around running sales in your Etsy shop. And that would be the periodic, more traditional type approach for running sales, where you have your items priced at a pricing level that has to be kind of fair and competitive on a regular basis. And then you periodically run a sale where they're discounted, so 10, 15% off, something like that. And you might base it around holidays or, like Black Friday, things like that. Kind of the more traditional retail approach. Now, that approach can work really well if your shop is cultivating a brand and a following with a customer base where they're coming back and making repeat purchases, that kind of a thing. Because your existing customer base Hopefully you've got an email marketing campaign, you have a social media account or accounts where you communicate with your customer base, and that can trigger more purchases, more buying behavior. However, if your primary customers, if your primary sales are coming from just being found in search results, and you have a lot of different niches in your shop, meaning you just create designs based on what you think will sell, you target your keywords, your title, your tags, all that, towards just being found in search results for all these different niches, then you're not going to have a huge percentage of customers that are return customers. A lot of people that buy from you, it's going to be the first time they buy from you. And when that's your kind of your strategy with your shop, instead of building a brand and a following, then the regular price strategy is at maybe a slight disadvantage to the always on sale strategy. And so the second strategy, or the second sort of main approach to this, would be the always on sale. And so this strategy is setting your pricing at a slightly higher level and then basically always showing your listings as being on sale. You would set your t-shirt price at something a little higher, like say $22.29, and then you would always have a sale running at 15% off so that the price that the customer pays is $18.95. You're getting the profit that's based on the price of $18.95, but it appears to the customer like it is on sale or it's a deal. We're looking at this listing for this Peace Day shirt, or this shirt that says "Let There Be Peace" in the graphic. It's a tie-dye shirt, and I have the pricing currently set as $18.95, $22.95 for the 2XL. But let's change our pricing first. I'm going to change all of my $18.95s to $22.29. And I change my 2XL. I'm just going to do $24.29. Then we're going to go over to marketing. In our left navigation, we're going to go to sales and discounts. Then we're going to click on run a sale, and we're going to do percentage off. So that's the default. I'm going to do 15% because that's how I set my pricing here. You'll see how that works out in a second. You can choose to offer it only in your country so that it only appears on domestic searches, but you can also just leave it as everywhere if you're okay with that pricing for all countries. Now, the sale duration is the important part here. So I'm only going to run the sale for, today happens to be a Saturday. I'm going to run it for Saturday and Sunday. And in the naming convention, I'm going to give it the names of the dates. It helps me stay organized. So I'm going to put May. So we'll hit continue. And then all I have to do is hit add all active listings. Now, if you have shop sections where it says all active listings here, you'll have a drop down to select if you want to add an entire shop section to the sale. So I'm just going to add them all. We'll hit review and confirm and create sale. All right. So now the sale is live. It's effective today. So let's go look at that. My other t-shirt, I did not change the price, so that one's incorrect. It didn't actually, I didn't increase the price, so I need to go fix that one. But pay attention to the tie-dye one. Now this is showing as 15% off, and it's down to $18.95. Usually it's $22.29. If we look at the listing, Etsy is going to now tell our customers that this sale ends in 36 hours. So then what I do is I repeat that sale every 2 or 3 days. In my strategy, what I actually do is I run one Monday through Wednesday, then a Thursday, Friday, and then a Saturday, Sunday. So that every week, every 7 days, I have a sale that's ending on 3 different days. And on each of those 3 days, I always find that those are the days that I make the most sales, on the days when the sale is ending and it looks like the clock is winding down. And that's it for thing number 1. So just consider your pricing strategy. Take a look at your competition for some of your niches, especially for listings that you think you should be getting sales in, but you're not. And just see what pricing levels the competition is at and consider running sales to generate some more of those purchases. All right, thing number 2 on the list is to refresh your mockups. If you're already opening at least a subset, a number of your listings to make edits for things like the pricing strategy, or spoiler, number 3 is going to be about your title and your tags, then you might as well also refresh your mockups, especially, again, if you have listings that you think the design is a really high quality design and it's a good, like, relatively low competition niche and you feel like you should be making sales, but you're not. It never hurts to refresh your mockups. And you're going to want to look for a couple of things. You don't have to change your mockups if you have a really good representation of your product. So you don't have to do it every time, but look for examples like this one. So I'm going to use the same example again, the Peace Day shirt, the tie-dye shirt. This thumbnail here in my listings view, this is what the customer or potential customer sees in search results. What do you notice about it? It's kind of hard to read it, isn't it? It's kind of hard to see. I can tell it's a tie-dye shirt, of course, but I can't really tell that says "Let There Be Peace" just by the size of that thumbnail. The first and easiest thing is just to see if there's any further we can go zooming in. So click on the adjust thumbnail button and let's just see how far in we can go. It looks like that's a little bit better than the way I had it set currently, but it's still kind of small. So what can I do about that? Well, it depends on where you got the mockup from and if you still have the original file. In this case, I made this one on Canva and I do still have, the original file in my Canva account. So one way that you can actually be able to make this bigger is by going back to the original on Canva and then actually make the person, I'm going to make the person larger here. You don't want to do this to some like really crazy extent where you lose quality and it starts to look all pixelated and bad, because obviously that won't look very good in your mockups. But just making the person a little bit bigger in this mockup. This was a default mockup. The person wearing the shirt was one of the defaults from Printify, and I just added a background to it using Canva, but I didn't make the person big enough, and I didn't really catch that when I first made the listing. So let's download this again. Here we go. Now we've got the larger size, and let's adjust that. Now when I zoom it all the way in, look at how much bigger the design looks. Obviously, you can also keep an eye out for how many mockups you have. Now, there are some types of products where it's hard to get a big variety of mockups, but generally speaking, for t-shirts, you have the default ones. I don't recommend you only go with the default ones from whatever platform you use. You can go get a free Placeit account. They have a great selection of totally free mockups that you don't have to pay for with the free account. So if you found a listing like this where there's only 2 mockups and a size chart, I also recommend going out, making a few new ones, and filling up as many of those image spots as you can. All right, thing number 3 that you can work on your existing listings, as well as just kind of focus on any new listings you make, is refreshing or updating your titles and your tags and your description. Now, we're going to look at the same example again here, and I only recommend doing this on listings where you feel like, this is a perfectly good design in a relatively low competition niche, and you're just not making any sales whatsoever. I would not recommend going in and tinkering with the title and the tags on listings where you are making sales, because any change you make to those primary things that are going into Etsy's search algorithm to match the queries coming from the customer's search, when you tinker with that, it can actually undo some of the machine learning that's been going on behind the scenes with the algorithm. Now, I don't claim to know exactly how these things work behind the scenes. I'm just saying that I've seen it happen in my experience to my own listings where I was being found and having sales made, and then I changed title and tags, and suddenly it took a long time for me to get back to making sales on the same listing. But one thing you can do to make all of this process a little bit easier is using a tool to analyze your listings. Now, Sales Samurai has a feature where you can look at your whole shop and all of your listings, or you can just throw in the URL for one of your individual listings in the search and get an analysis of that listing. No matter what tool you use, I think pretty much all of the major ones out there like Marmalade and eRank have a feature to help you analyze your existing listings in addition to doing keyword research for just general phrases. So all of them should have some feature that you can take advantage of like this. So ultimately what you're looking for is just, is there anything that could be improved? Is there a lower competition phrase that still has search volume that really should be at the beginning of your title or included in your tags that you don't have in there now? The reason I'm still including this on my list of things that you can work on is because it helps you identify things you've done in the past that maybe didn't work out so well. And so it's just kind of like going back and reflecting on, I did this in my title and tags and this didn't work. So what can I do differently for the future? All right, thing number 4 has already been incorporated into a couple other things that I mentioned, but I think it's worth calling out separately. And so thing number 4 is reviewing the competition for at least some of your niches. And I'm calling this one out separately because sometimes you go in and you're looking at competition for like one specific thing and you kind of go see that thing and then you leave. Well, reviewing your competition can actually tell you a lot about the specific niches that you're working in. And sometimes it's easy to just kind of take a look at the competition when you first start making designs for a niche and then never go back and look at the competition again. Sometimes you're doing yourself a disservice when you do that because the competition changes over time, right? Some people will copy your design. Like some people will literally copy your design. And in some cases, if it was an original design that you made, you can report their listings. But if that's not the case, You might see just similar designs that have been added. Maybe now there's a lot more competition. Maybe you're being undercut on price. Maybe there's something that everybody else is starting to do with this niche that you're sort of behind the curve on. And so reviewing the competition, if you're seeing your sales slow down, especially for listings that maybe were selling before and now they're not, reviewing competition, I think, is worth calling out by itself. We'll look at this listing as just one example. So when I say review the competition, I mean take a look, run the search for whatever niche your design is in or designs are in. Take a look at the top sellers. Now you want to focus on the organic search results on page 1. You want to look at a few individual listings. Don't just do one, do a couple, at least 2 or 3. And instead of focusing on that one thing you may have looked for before, like before we were just looking at what is the pricing strategy. This time, look at everything. What are they doing with their titles? What are they doing with the pricing or their sales strategy? What are they doing with their description? Are they offering personalization? What's the color variety that they're offering? Do their mockups have a certain aesthetic to them that you don't have that maybe appeals to you, that you like? So let's look at some of those things with this listing. There's good consistency here between their mockups. Again, review that pricing if you didn't already do that. So pay attention to, are they marking up and running a sale? Is the sale ending soon? Are they just charging a competitive price? What are they doing with shipping? Are they charging shipping or are they doing free shipping? This one is $5.58. Now, one of the things you can do if you want to get really analytical on an individual listing is do the same thing with your keyword search tool that you use. So I'm going to take this URL and take this over to Sales Samurai and put it in the single listing search. And I'm going to get the same results that I got for my own listing, where it's going to tell me all about the tags that they use. So I can see every tag they use, the search volume for it, and I can decide for myself whether they're doing something that I think makes sense for me to do. So one caveat to this, obviously you don't want to copy directly any other seller's listings, their designs or exactly what they're doing. The point of comparing your listings to your competition is to get ideas, is just to see what are other people doing. Is there something with mockups that maybe seems like it's a better presentation of the designs? So I hope all of that made sense as why you would want to be reviewing the competition and kind of things to look for. All right, and thing number 5 on my list is the most obvious thing, and that is create more listings. Now, I mentioned this early on, I kind of dropped the hint early in this video that one of the reasons why my sales have trended down this year is because I have not invested as much time in my Etsy shop as I did in 2021 last year during the same time period in the first quarter. Specifically, I spent a lot more time last year making new listings. Every new listing that you make increases your chances of making a sale. And the longer you've been doing this, the more effective each new listing you make is, because you're learning the entire time. So when I make a listing today, it has a much better chance of making a sale compared to a listing I made when I was first starting out, just because I've learned a lot about how to be more effective with titles, tags, mockups, pricing, all of that kind of stuff. The same is going to be true for you. So keep making those new listings, keep adding to your catalog, especially if you see products that are selling or designs that are selling. Expand that design onto more products. If you are selling a design regularly on a t-shirt, make sure you're offering that same design on a sweatshirt, a hoodie, a mug, any other product where the design seems to be a good fit. That's the most obvious one I know. I saved that one for last, but if you combine that creating new listings with going back and doing some of those other 4 things I mentioned with your existing listings, I think that all of those things working together for you will help turn things around and get you back towards increasing sales. I'm going to be employing all 5 of these things over the next couple of months in my Etsy shop because my sales have been trending down. But I hope that this information was helpful for you. I hope that it helps lead you to increased sales. And if you do find it helpful, do me a favor, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the POD Insights channel, go ahead and do that now so you can be notified of future videos that come out. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.